Hi, welcome back to my channel, and if this is your first time at my channel, my name is Chris Romano, and I talk about different areas of tech and provide career guidance and insights. What I want to do today is talk to you about how important it is to learn Python in 2025. And the reason I bring this up isn't because of learning a programming language in terms of just being a developer, which is usually what people think of. If you know anything about Python, you'll know that it's used everywhere. It's used for web development, machine learning, AI, data science, data analytics, game development. Uh, YouTube, Netflix, all the major companies that you hear of also use Python. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to give you 5 of some of the top reasons why you should learn Python. Now, if you don't have a programming language listed on your resume, I'll tell you right now, you're missing something that is really important. And if you don't really know much about me, I'll tell you, I've been in tech for 20 plus years. I've worked in a variety of fields, including cybersecurity. As a hiring manager, I'll tell you right now, when you have a programming language on your resume, it's not just about the programming language. What it does is it shows the person reviewing your resume that you have a skill that allows you to apply that skill into several different areas, and companies love that. Well, in 2025, as we see AI being integrated more and more, well, it's going to become more and more common to also know how to program. Think about this for a second. If you go back maybe 10 years ago, right, people really weren't familiar with different aspects of IT. So what I mean by this is that there are some common areas that are now pretty much familiar, like firewalls, antivirus, malware, servers, web servers, services. These are things that, several years ago, people didn't know about, right? It was usually if you had to work in IT. So again, going back to why you should learn Python is because coding, mark my words, is going to become just an integral part of IT, cybersecurity, all the different areas, even networking, especially with software-defined networks that you need to know. So honestly, if you're trying to pursue or you're currently in tech and you want to keep yourself relevant, well then you really need to learn Python. And let me give you some 5 reasons as to why. Reason number 1 is problem solving. Learning a programming language also makes you a better problem solver. Remember all that math that you learned in school? Well, it wasn't because of the math that you're actually going to apply in the real world, although some of it you do apply. It was actually to teach you how to break problems down into smaller pieces, solve each one of them to combine and then solve whatever problem it is. Well, programming does the same thing. If you think about it, when you program, you're actually teaching the computer to do something, and you're teaching it step by step. So learning a programming language, again, you don't have to be a developer, but learning a programming language teaches you how to think and break things down to become an even better problem solver. So that's reason number 1. Reason number 2, just similar to what I said in the intro, is high demand. Python is becoming more and more of a requirement on more job positions, so you'll start to see that as a requirement. And here's the thing, is ask yourself, do you have a programming language on your resume? If you do, you're in great shape. If you don't, well, you're sort of behind the curve because more and more candidates are going to have a programming language. So this is something that you really should think about and consider learning, because you could be behind other candidates that do have a programming language listed. So just consider that for a moment of keeping yourself relevant, or again, if you're new to tech and you're going into IT, cybersecurity, networking, whatever it is, having that programming language on your resume is something that employers are going to expect more and more. Reason number 3 is the ability to learn and adapt. Again, learning how to program, it teaches you how to break things down and structure things, But through that, in knowing how to apply the different areas of a programming language, it also allows you to learn and adapt faster. Well, different applications these days are a lot more complex and they have a lot more components, which means you need to understand how things work together, and knowing how to program does just that. Because as you develop code, right, and you write your own code, no matter whether it's simple code or something really complex, what you're learning to do is how to adapt to something and how to take several components, make them work together to achieve an end result. This is the same thing in IT and other tech areas like cybersecurity, again, networking, web development, DevOps. I mean, the list goes on and on. You have to know how to combine things. And by having that programming language, that it makes it easier because your thinking is already positioned so that you know how to make things work together. So again, this is another advantage of why you should learn how to program. Reason number 4, it's the fundamental reason behind technologies and why they work. So think about this for a minute. If you're troubleshooting something or you're using a technology, well, chances are that it's written in some sort of programming language. Well, if you understand even the fundamentals of programming when either something breaks or you actually have to administer or use that technology, you have a greater understanding because you have an idea of the underworkings of that technology, which means how a program was written to make something work. Now, you might not understand the exact algorithms or exact line of codes, but the thing is understanding how programming works and having that language in terms of adding it as a skill set helps you understand just the overall technology a little bit better. And the last reason I'll give you, and of course there's more reasons than that, but these are the top 5, is it's the future. Again, like I said earlier, programming AI is just starting, right? We are starting to see AI being used more and more. Cloud computing, hybrid type of computing, hyperconvergence, that sort of thing. Again, software-defined networking. Things are becoming more and more automated. There's more and more intelligence being built in. Well, again, underneath all of that is code. And we're getting to a point where coding is going to become one of those subjects in school that everyone has to learn because it's not just about the coding. Again, don't look at it just from a development standpoint. Think of it as being able to understand, being able to keep up with technology. Well, if you don't really understand or know coding, you could struggle a little bit more because you don't really understand what is going on underneath the scenes. But if you understand how to program, you might look at something and say, okay, well, I understand there's some code. I may not know what that code is, but I understand how they relate and what it's trying to do. So again, this is where having that programming really helps. So if there's something that I would recommend, it's something that I've used all 20 years of my career. People ask me, what was the one thing that helped you the most? It's when I learned how to program. And I've used it throughout my entire career. It's given me advantage of learning things quickly, so I'm sharing that with you. Learn a programming language, learn that type of thought, and it will benefit you. Now, if you're watching this video and you're saying to yourself, well, I don't really know programming, I don't really think I'm the type to learn programming, let me just tell you, neither was I. When I first started, I knew zero about programming. I tried to learn, it didn't make sense, I couldn't follow it. I really struggled. So what I did is I went to school, and through that I actually started tutoring and helping others learn how to program, which made me a better programmer. Now, what I did is I took all my tutoring, because I used to tutor math and computer science as I went to school. It forced me to learn it better by helping others. So what I did is I applied that and I created my own course. So the reason my course exists is for anyone who ever took a programming language, maybe watch some of the free videos here on YouTube, or you've taken some other courses and you just found it to be confusing, or maybe you just didn't have the confidence. Well, I took those experiences because I know I can relate to you. That was me. I'm that person that tried to take all that. I created the course that breaks everything down, explains everything line to line, because I don't know about you, but it annoys me when I'm either reading a book or I'm trying to follow a tutorial and they do some kind of, they write some sort of code, and I'm like, why did you do that? And they just keep going. And then what happens? Your brain shuts off and you're like, forget about it. One thing I do that probably isn't done anywhere else, and I think it's actually going to change as my program sort of gets more popular, just based on my students' feedback, is before you even write a single line of code, I sort of interactively explain what it does. So in layman's terms, I just break it down into simple, easy to understand, something that you can relate to as to what the code does. And by doing that, it gives you that picture and allows you to first develop the understanding when I break it down and explain it. Then I give you some examples, and then I give you, an exercise to try, except not one that's going to frustrate you, one that's actually going to reinforce what you just learned. So that's pretty much what my course does. If you're interested in that and you've struggled to learn Python, this really could be used by anyone from junior high to high school. Even if you're a working professional adult and you don't know how to program, then you might want to consider looking at my course. If not, hey, keep doing what you're doing. But really, I recommend going forward, especially 2025 and beyond, you really want to learn a programming language, whether it's Python or any other language, some of the new ones that are coming out. Just do yourself this favor, learn a programming language. And what I want you to take from this video is, from my 20 plus years of IT, cybersecurity, networking experience, knowing a programming language is what's helped me the most, because it's allowed me to really adapt, break things down, think through them, and it's made my life a lot easier. So again, learn a language if you don't have one, add it to your resume, because if you don't have one, you're probably behind, and you really want to have something on your resume that shows an employer that you do have that programming language. So that's just some advice I want to give you. Thank you. Hope this helps you. And again, go learn a programming language, because going forward, 2025 and beyond, it's going to be absolutely essential. So thank you, and I'll see you in my next video.